People always say that a man's greatest enemy is time. I disagree. I learned that a man's greatest enemy sleeps next to him, kisses him good morning, and smiles while slowly tearing everything he built into pieces. My name is Mark. I'm 47 years old, a structural engineer with more money than excitement in my life. I worked hard. I provided. I never cheated, never lied, never betrayed. And I thought marriage meant the same. For 20 years, I believed Sarah was loyal. We had a decent life, a comfortable home, and enough savings to retire early if we wanted. I thought we were a team. I thought I had peace. The truth arrived quietly, without screaming or shattered plates. It came disguised as a simple piece of paper in the mail. A credit card bill addressed to Sarah. A card I didn't even know she had. At first glance, nothing looked suspicious until I saw the charge. Redwood Lodge, executive suite, 2 guests. Not a business trip, not a conference, just 2 guests. I remember staring at that line, feeling something ancient and cold drop into my stomach. And that was the night I stopped being a husband and started becoming something else. I didn't confront her. Not then. Not with shaky, emotional accusations that could be denied or twisted. I'm an engineer. I don't move fast. I move correctly. But suspicion poisons everything. I started watching her more carefully. Her phone always face down, her sudden interest in yoga classes when she hated exercise, the perfume I never smelled before. We didn't fight. We didn't talk. We existed. I rehearsed different scenarios in my head. Maybe it was a one-time mistake. Maybe she was lonely. Maybe I failed her somehow. That's the kind of thinking men like me use to excuse other people's betrayal. But every day I saw more cracks. She laughed more at her phone than she ever laughed at my jokes. She left for hours on weekends while I mowed the lawn alone. And when she came back, she smelled like cologne that wasn't mine. I lay awake at night, next to her, listening to the gentle rhythm of a woman who slept peacefully while whispering lies during daylight. I wasn't ready to confront her. Not until I knew everything. Not until I could crush her without raising my voice. Because revenge, I realized, was not about rage. It was about control. I found a private investigator online. A quiet, older man named Harris. No nonsense, no melodrama. He had gray hair, tired eyes, and an expression that told me nothing surprises him anymore. I told him I suspected my wife of having an affair. He didn't offer sympathy or outrage. He just nodded and said, "How much evidence do you need?" I said, "Enough to win." He gave a small approving smile and started his process. Within 2 weeks, he delivered photographs, crystal clear, time-stamped images of Sarah and a man named David, a corporate consultant, younger than me, expensive haircut, Audi. They weren't shy. They held hands in restaurants, kissed in parking lots, spent nights at hotels paid with the card I saw on the bill. The pictures made me sick in a way I didn't know was possible. But even worse was reading the report. The affair had been going on for almost 3 years. I stared at the evidence, not heartbroken, but humiliated. 3 years. 3 years of me paying mortgages, saving for retirement, planning vacations she always postponed. I thanked Harris, paid him in cash, and shook his hand. He said, "Men like you usually want revenge. You're different. You'll do damage." He wasn't wrong. Here is something most married men don't know. If your wife is cheating, evidence is power. But timing is everything. I didn't want a dramatic confrontation. I didn't want tears, screaming, apologies, or a second chance. I wanted advantage, and that meant a lawyer. I found a divorce attorney who specialized in financial settlements. A calm, sharp woman named Melissa. I handed her the photos and reports. She didn't gasp or judge. She analyzed. She said, "With this level of evidence, you can negotiate a settlement that protects income and assets. No alimony. No half." I asked, "What's the max I can win without scorched earth?" She smiled. "About $100,000 more than she'd normally get. And full control of the house." I nodded. She outlined a legal strategy that required patience. Do not confront Sarah. Gather financial records quietly. Move assets legally into separate accounts. Document her expenses tied to the affair. Let her keep behaving normally. File when she least expects it. It felt cold. calculating, almost surgical. But I wasn't acting out of rage anymore. I was acting out of dignity. And if she wanted a different life, she could pay for it. Something changed inside me. I stopped caring. I stopped trying. I no longer reached for her in bed. I no longer asked where she was going. I no longer waited up for her. She thought I was depressed. Maybe she thought I sensed something. But she didn't stop. Affairs are addictive. They make people sloppy. Meanwhile, I became invisible in my own home. But I wasn't sad anymore. I was free. I started going to the gym, not because I was heartbroken, but because I didn't want to look like a man reduced by betrayal. I joined a hiking group. I reconnected with old friends. I even smiled more. Sarah didn't notice. She was too busy living her double life, too busy dressing up, deleting messages, sneaking showers, putting on perfume. Her dishonesty didn't crush me. It clarified me. The man I used to be died the night I saw that bill. What emerged was someone patient, disciplined, and unexpectedly calm. I realized I no longer loved her, and I didn't want to fix anything. I just wanted closure and compensation. The next step was financial restructuring. This wasn't about hiding assets. That's illegal. This was about legally isolating personal income before filing. My lawyer helped me open new accounts in my name only. My paycheck was rerouted. I shifted investments that were premarital assets. I liquidated small holdings that would have been split. Everything documented. Everything clean. Meanwhile, Sarah kept spending. On hotels, dinners, gifts. She believed her secret card protected her. She didn't know marital funds could still be traced. Her affair was expensive, and every expense would be charged against her in settlement. One night, she walked in late, smiling at her phone. She didn't see me at the table, reviewing statements. She said, "Oh, didn't see you there." I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. I had become polite, efficient, distant. She thought marriage was simply fading. She had no idea I was preparing a private battlefield. Revenge isn't about hurting someone. It's about taking back what you built. Quietly, legally, permanently. Then came the moment that sealed my decision. I found an email on our shared laptop. She must have forgotten to sign out. It was from David, her lover. A forwarded rental agreement. They were planning to move into an apartment together. In the fall, 2 bedrooms. Pets allowed. Sarah was preparing to leave me. Not because she hated me. Not because I failed her. But because she thought she found someone newer, more exciting. And she expected me to finance her exit with a generous divorce settlement. I laughed. Actually laughed. The kind of laugh that isn't joyful. It's sharp, bitter, almost triumphant. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning a future, counting my money, dividing assets in her head, assuming she'd walk away with half the house, half the savings, and alimony. That night, I made the final call to my lawyer. "It's time," I said. She replied, "Good. Let's take everything we can and give her nothing she expects." People always say divorce is emotional chaos. Screaming, crying, bitterness. Mine was peaceful. I pretended everything was normal. I made dinner. I mowed the lawn. I watched football. Inside, I was counting the days. Watching her lie. Act natural. Hide messages. Plan weekends away. She had no idea she was walking into a legal trap built around her own behavior. One night, she kissed my cheek before leaving for yoga. I said softly, "Drive safe." She smiled, surprised at my kindness. I watched her drive off, knowing she wouldn't have that car much longer. Revenge, I realized, isn't loud. It doesn't slam doors. It doesn't yell. It's patient, and it wins. The filing happened on a Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. She was served at her office. My lawyer timed it intentionally. Public setting, professional environment, maximum shock, minimum drama. I got a text from her 20 minutes later. "Mark, what is this?" Then another. "We need to talk." I didn't respond. For the first time, she was the one chasing me. She came home that evening with red eyes, shaking hands, and a tone of disbelief. "Why didn't you tell me you were unhappy?" I looked at her calmly. I wasn't unhappy. I was betrayed. She froze. "You knew." For a long time. She tried to cry, tried to explain, tried to paint herself as lonely, misunderstood. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult her. I didn't ask why. I simply said, "Everything you need to know is in the documents." That night, she slept in the guest room. Not because I told her to, But because she couldn't face the bed, she turned into a lie. Divorce negotiations are not emotional. They are war. And I came armed. My lawyer presented photos, reports, receipts, messages, credit card statements, and the total cost of her affair over 3 years. Tens of thousands in hotels, restaurants, travel, all marital funds, all debt against her share. Sarah's lawyer tried to argue emotional distress, unhappiness, miscommunication. My lawyer interrupted. This is not emotional. This is financial misconduct over multiple years. We requested full ownership of the house, 70% of savings, zero alimony, reimbursement of legal fees. Sarah stared at the table, pale and quiet. Her lawyer whispered, "If we fight this, you'll lose more." I didn't look at her, not because I hated her, but because she was irrelevant. She gambled. She lost. After the meeting, Sarah finally broke. She sat in her car, crying in the driveway. She came inside, desperate, clinging to the idea of reconciliation. "Mark, I'm sorry. I didn't know how bad things were. I never wanted to hurt you. We can fix this." I listened, calm, detached. "You didn't cry for me. You're crying for your lifestyle." She tried to deny it, but truth is a heavy thing. She wanted security, comfort, the stable life I built. She wanted her boyfriend too. She wanted both worlds and no consequences. But I wasn't giving her a choice anymore. She whispered, "I didn't think you'd ever leave." I replied, "You didn't think I'd ever wake up." She moved out 2 weeks later, to the apartment she planned to share with him. Except now, she couldn't afford it. She asked if she could keep some furniture. I said no. She asked if I could help with moving costs. I said no. She asked if we could stay friends. I said nothing. I wasn't cruel. I was finished. The house felt lighter, quiet, free of lies. I slept better than I had in years. Not because I won money, but because I reclaimed my life. The settlement finalized at just over $100,000 in my favor, plus full ownership of the house and my retirement accounts untouched. All because I didn't confront. I documented. She didn't suffer because I was vengeful. She suffered because she was careless. Affairs are expensive, not emotionally. Financially, every dinner, every hotel, every gift, paid back with interest. Men think revenge means screaming or destroying. But true revenge is silent paperwork that leaves the other person staring at a balance sheet they don't recognize. I walked away wealthier than before. She walked away with the man she thought would save her. But his eyes changed when he realized she wasn't bringing half my assets with her. Men like him don't love women. They love opportunities. A few months later, I heard that David moved out. No breakup scene, no dramatic betrayal, just a quiet exit when money dried up. Meanwhile, my life stabilized. I wasn't angry. I wasn't lonely. I traveled. I took up woodworking. I bought a motorcycle, something I always wanted but postponed because she said it was too dangerous. Everything felt new, not because I punished her, but because I stopped punishing myself by staying. People ask me if I ever forgave her. Forgiveness is for accidents. She didn't trip and fall into someone else's bed for 3 years. She made choices, and choices have consequences. After the settlement, word spread. Not because I bragged, but because her lover couldn't resist telling his friends how she cost him a fortune. The guy she thought was her future called her a liability behind her back. He didn't break up with her. He downgraded her, moved her from partner to convenience. A warm body until something better came along. She tried reaching out weeks later, pretending she just wanted closure. Then she admitted the truth. "I didn't think you'd make it so hard." I looked her in the eye and said, "You didn't think I'd make it hurt." She flinched like she'd heard something violent. But I never raised a hand. I just raised the cost. The house is mine. The savings are mine. Her debt is hers. And she is left with nothing except the knowledge that she destroyed the only man who ever actually built something for her. People say revenge is unhealthy. Maybe. But watching someone who once mocked your quiet nature crumble under the weight of their own decisions, that's not unhealthy. That's justice. Some nights I sit on the porch, drink a whiskey, and listen to the wind. I used to think peace came from love. Now I know better. Peace comes from winning.